Hi guys! April is done and
It's done. I can't
May
believe
is
it.
here.
It's May. Crazy.
We are in the teens for the number of school days left before we're done for the school
Hey,
year. I can
that's
see the
great.
finish line. I can see it. It's there. It's just a matter of
Yeah.
getting there. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
I finished editing my two clients' books and I'm just like I am editing Survivor now and I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh, it's nice to work on my own stuff. Like I'm still writing two of my books and I'm editing, but it's like the workload has kind of been I
Yeah,
can
going
finally
down.
catch up on all the stuff I've been putting off for 2 months.
Yeah.
My email list is like a disaster.
Yeah. Well, that's fair.
But well, reading wise, I have a lot to kind of go over. So after we finished our live stream, we sat there and we just read together. Well, I don't know what you were doing. You were playing a game or something, but I
Yeah.
read and I was like, I'm finishing this book tonight. So I finished Protecting Caroline.
Okay.
Um, and I was just glad to get it done. I can't remember what I rated it. I think it was like 2 stars. I think my official rating was 2.5 stars, but on the official sites I rounded down to 2. And I'm like, my Christian military romantic suspense author that I like, Jessica Ashley, she's got 2 in her new series, and the first 5 books, the Pages of Promise and the Coastal Hope series I read back in last year, those have dual narration audiobooks now. And so my brain was like, I'm kind of interested in that at some point.
Yeah.
And actually I signed up for her newsletter. And so I've been replying to her newsletter as like a reader
Sweet.
and a fan. And you can tell that she's like hyped up and like
Oh,
it's been exciting to like
sweet.
interact with an author as a reader,
Awesome.
but
Yeah.
also as an author.
Uh
Yeah.
huh.
Um, so when I finished that, I did start Sword Heart, and I
That's on my
was
TBR for
so
this
intrigued
month.
by this.
Don't spoil anything.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
don't.
going to spoil
Yeah, I was
anything.
gonna say that's on my
I'm not going to
TBR
spoil
for
anything,
May.
but I'm not going to spoil anything, but I got to say what happened. So the blurb is amazing. There's a lot of premises in this that like mirror a lot of like the guy in prison and a sword. I'm doing that in another, I already did that in another thing. So I was really excited. It's a fantasy comedy. I was not expecting a comedy, so I'm putting this off until I'm in the
Okay.
mood for like a Sits into the Villain,
Okay.
that kind of vibe,
Good
because
to
I was
know.
expecting serious
Okay.
stuff and there's nothing taken seriously in this
Okay.
book, and I'm like, I'm in the mood for something serious and dark. So
Okay.
that's why
I'm
it's
glad
not
you
being
mentioned
DNF.
that.
It's like,
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
glad you mentioned that because I'm definitely not in the mood for that. But
yeah,
I
it's
could
like
see
you have to
myself
be in a mood.
I could see my if I okay, this is gonna sound weird because it's definitely
Hmm.
not a contemporary novel. But when I'm
Yeah,
in the mood for like a contemporary novel, that's
it'll fill
when,
that. Yeah.
yeah, that's when I'll go for that
Same
one.
with Assistant to the Villain. So it's not a DNF. Like I'm actually sorting my DNFs that I'm not going to come back to
It's just
versus
going
this
back on
one
the
when it's like,
TBR.
yeah,
It's
it's
all it
just
is
falling
doing.
back.
Yeah, it's going
So
back on the shelf.
I'm like, you know what? Let's rip off the band-aid. And I started
Ooh.
From Blood and Ash. I don't
Okay.
like the cover, the version that I have on
Yeah.
the cover, but that's
Uh huh.
okay. Um, and I actually have the audiobook to it, but I realized they also have dramatized audiobooks. So I got Audible again
Oh.
and I tried the dramatized audiobook. But like, you know how dramatized audiobooks skips portion of the book, but usually it's like
Oh yeah.
portions that you can hear.
Uh huh.
This one actually skips like exposition, and like feelings and
Yeah.
stuff. And it's also much slower. And so I actually don't like the dramatized audiobook. And
That's
so I'm
sad.
actually like, I've shifted to just reading it
Yeah.
myself. But it's interesting. And I'm on page 34 and I'm going to continue reading it. So
Yeah.
it's it's
Honestly,
interesting. I'm hoping it's enough
like
to pull me out of my slump.
honestly, from like what whenever they released um the Onyx Storm dramatized version, a lot of people were, I don't know if it was Onyx Storm or Iron Flame, I think it was Onyx Storm. Like they were complaining that it was skipping whole pages worth of passages.
It's just, yeah,
It's
like I
insane.
don't understand it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like Silver Flames didn't, I don't remember. And it was like a
Yeah.
really good
Yeah.
dramatized audiobook. And then Quicksilver's audiobook had a dual narration. So
Mhm.
you got Kingfisher's voice. And
Mhm.
the male actor in the dramatized audiobook, he isn't bad. He's got a nice voice, but it's not like Kingfisher where you have to hear him talk every
Mhm.
time he's on screen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I can just go within my head. It's already kind of getting a little sizzly,
Mm.
and I was like, it's a little early on, but the premise behind it was kind of intriguing, so I'm gonna push through it and see if there's gonna be more of a
Okay.
connection or emotional thing there. And what I love is the world. Like the world and the premise and everything going on is really intriguing. So I kind of want to know more about the world. So
Yeah,
that's
I
kind of
could see
like
that.
where I'm at right now. So we were watching Survivor, the TV show, and on Paramount they have commercials, and you kind of get bored during the commercials because they're like 3 minute long ads,
Yeah.
and you can't skip them. And so I was
Yeah.
actually reading on commercials earlier, so that
Oh,
was kind of
cool.
like, hey, I'm actually reading in my normal outside
Yeah.
of my normal reading time now.
Yeah.
So are you still reading Harry Potter?
Yes, I am reading Half Blood Prince right now.
Right, I was
It's
gonna tell Michael, but
it's
I couldn't remember what title it was.
yeah, yeah. It's going pretty good. I'm a little over halfway. Um,
Cool.
so I'll probably finish it this next week at some point. I think. I just I had two food labs in one day, and it ended up being
Ooh.
3 days worth of labs. I've got our spaghetti lab had to be split up because like half the class left for a track meet. So like there was like nobody to cook by the time I had that hour. So I've had to cook 2 out of the 3 days that I've been at school this week so far, and I will have to cook one more on Friday.
Oh, that's a lot.
Oh, it's fun, but
Fun,
it's chaos is what it is.
Yeah.
But they have fun and they do a good job. One group does a little bit better on the cooking side of it, and one does they did really good with the cleaning, and they surprised me with how well they cleaned. That was the later class, so I'm like, oh, okay. They both did really good, and I'm like, okay, it's doing good. But yeah, one thing, I still hate Ron. I still don't like him. He is a crappy friend. And the fact that, okay, him and Hermione both like each other, but they're both dating other people to get back at that person. And it's just hurting. It's the only person that it's hurting is Harry. Because he's the one that's trying to be friends with both of them. And this boy is so obsessed with figuring out what's going on with Draco. And if it ends the way I remember the main event happening, he's very justified in that. If it ends the way I'm thinking it's going to end. If the event that I'm thinking of is what happens at the end of this, his frustration and his his obsessiveness is somewhat justified. But it's like I don't know. And it's just I am really enjoying his meetings with Dumbledore. I'm really enjoying getting to know I love the flashbacks to Voldemort as a teenager and as a kid. Like, I'm really enjoying those scenes. Like, it's really intriguing. And it made me think of, like, there's one quote that Dad loves to quote in his sermons a lot. It's, like, by Sun Tzu. It's, like, know your enemy as you know yourself, and you'll never be defeated in, like, 100 battles. It's, like, some kind of quote. And it's, like, it definitely reminded me of that. And it's, like, I can see what Dumbledore's doing is he's allowing Harry to learn more about Voldemort in order to, like, defeat him later. And so, like, I can see what he's doing and I understand it, but it's just like I wish he would have been able to develop this kind of relationship with Harry sooner. I don't know, it just feels like second to last book feels like a little late in the series for him to be like, I don't know, it feels really late in the series for them to acknowledge how horribly he's been treated by his relatives, by his aunt and uncle. And it also feels like we could have had some discussions with Dumbledore more than we did, like, in this kind of fashion earlier in the series. Like, I'm not saying we had an entire book of them like we have right now, but it's like, it would have been nice to at least have a handful of them. A handful of, like, not just him keeping answers from Harry, which he's still kind of keeping things from Harry, I guess, but it's like, I don't know. It feels like he's actually teaching Harry stuff or, like, giving him information.
Like he's more the mentor role that he should have been. Yeah,
and I feel like I kind of wanted that mentor role a little earlier than what we got it, but I'm glad that I have it at this point.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The library had its annual book sale.
That's nice.
So, yeah. I got some older books. I'm not sure if this is the same as the Silmarillion or the Unfinished Tales that I have on the bookshelf, but I couldn't tell, and I didn't want to let it slip away. So I got it.
Of course, yeah. You
It was
can't.
only $1, so I'm like, you know what? I found this one,
Might as well.
which is one of them I don't have,
Nice.
and I'm kind of excited for that one. It's like Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, so I'm
I've
like
been
interested
kind
in that one.
wanting to read Star Wars too, so like
Honestly,
that's
I'm kind
like,
of in a mood, and I didn't
like,
grab one. I have
I've
my
been
the book
seriously
about
thinking
Mace
about
Windu.
this one,
Ooh,
kind
yeah.
of, because I'm like really intrigued
I
by Quinlan Voss,
I
like,
almost grabbed
and
that
the
one.
fact that what's her face? Ventress is like gonna be in Tales of the Underworld or something.
Oh,
So it's like I kind of want to know this story to kind of fill in the gaps. So like I'm kind of, and it
Yeah.
seems like it won't be too long
I
to read, but
almost grabbed my Mace Windu book, but I didn't. But yeah, because I had several that I'm wanting to read, and a lot of the new books that I've brought recently I want to read. Okay. This one, and I got a couple like dystopian.
Are we doing one at a time, back and forth?
This isn't my doing your book haul? This isn't my TBR. Sorry. Okay. I just wanted to very quick because I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time on it because we have our TBR list. So I'm just very quickly like, I got this.
Yeah, I was just clarifying because I didn't know what was.
No, apparently, this is a trilogy. It's the first one in a trilogy. It's I don't. It sounded interesting.
Yeah.
Elise fears that cherry sweet stench, her own particular perfume of sweat and anxiety. It says slowly, carefully, Alex drops to her. Okay, I don't know. It just said dystopian style type stuff, but it sounded kind of interesting. So I'm like, you know what? We'll see if I'm in the mood for that kind of thing. This one seemed really cool. The Young World.
Ooh, I like the cover of that one actually.
Yeah, me too. And it was like a after mysterious sickness wipes out the rest of the population, the young survivors assemble a tightly ruled tribes. Jefferson, the reluctant leader of the Washington Square tribe, and Donna, the girl he's secretly in love with, have carved out a precarious existence amongst the chaos. But when a fellow tribe member discovers a clue that may hold the cure for the sickness, the 5 teens set out on a life-altering road trip. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Maximum Ride series. A little bit, or the Gone series. It kind of reminds me of that, too. I never finished either of those series, but I read them in middle school, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Spoilers for Maximum Ride if y'all haven't read it, but I rioted when Fang died, and I stopped. I just could not handle that. I was like, how dare you kill off the main dude?
And when you told me that ages ago, I just didn't have the heart to finish the series. Kind of like that's why I haven't.
That I ever told you that.
I haven't finished. I haven't finished the Divergent series for that reason as well, because I don't.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't remember when I got this one. I didn't get it at the library, but it was really pretty looking, and I can't remember where I grabbed it. But it sounds cool. Yeah. It's about these night weavers that are cursed beings that live in this house. That they all like. It's a family that lives in this house, and there's like, there's somebody that's trying to hunt these creatures. They're like kind of like monsters, and there's somebody that's trying to hunt these creatures. It kind of sounded interesting though, like a family of like these night weaver. It's like a family, and it sounded interesting. So I'm like, you know what? Sounds interesting, and it has a pretty cover. So we got it.
Yep. That makes sense.
Yep. Oh.
All right, so I'm kind of inserting Dark Disciple to my TBR list, so that one's kind of like just a fun little insert.
Yeah.
So I really do want to finish From Blood and Ash. I don't know. I think I've read 2 books this month, so hopefully, I mean, it's too late. It's the last day of April, and I'm not finishing this tonight, so I better have.
That's fair.
So I think, I don't know, this isn't in any particular order, but I think I really do want to try to get to Assassin's Blade this month. That would be nice. And because of going into Sword Heart expecting serious, getting comedy, I am now been pushed into, I want serious, I want angst,
You'll get serious
I want
with
dark, gritty.
Yeah,
so I'm like, this kind of seems like it would fit that vibe. So that's my first one on my TBR list for this month.
Yeah. Okay, this one is kind of like a flood over from last time. I think this was on my TBR from last month. I am.
That's on mine.
It's kind of like a flood over from last month. I read the first couple pages earlier. Like I did that. Like I had full intentions of starting it. Like I did the sticky tabs. I did my sticky tabs and everything for it, and I got to chapter 2, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm not quite in the vibe for this yet. It was good though. I wasn't.
Yeah.
I had just come off of reading a young adult series, like the Hunger Games series, and so my brain was in the young adult bit, and the thought of continuing Harry Potter sounded good to me. I kind of stuck with the whole young adult vibe for one more book, and then I think after the Harry Potter series isn't bad, but it's not the most it's not like Star Wars to me, if that makes sense. Like, I'll always be in the mood for Star Wars, no matter what point in my life I'm at. But it's like, I'm not to that point yet. I feel like after I finish the 7th book, I'll probably be to that point where I'll always be in the mood for it. But it's like, I think after this one, and I don't want to rush the series, so it's like, I'm happy with taking my time, but I think after I finish this, I'll be ready for, like, a more serious book thing. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Okay, so you did your insert. You did your insert, and
so
then
I did that one and Assassin's Blade. So obviously, my next one is the same book. I finally managed to actually, because I didn't pick it up until this last weekend, and so the fact that I think you were with me, that was the day that we went shopping, after Star Wars on your birthday. But I needed to pick it up anyway, and I really do love Carissa Broadbent. Like, her writing is like the best out of all the big 3, like Rebecca Yarros, Sarah J. Maas, and just I haven't been able to get into book 3 yet because of the
unique.
And, like, the stuff. And so I kind of want there's a couple pages that are bent in here. They've been doggy-eared.
Oh.
We have doggy-eared ones.
No.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna straighten those out. Sorry. Anywho, so I can't get into her 3rd book yet because of the premise, and like I'm not an underworldy kind of person, Hades, Persephone retelling kind of thing, and so I figured since this is between books 2 and 3 and about different characters and it's more vampire-ish again, I feel like I could definitely like really vibe with this book and like really just enjoy it. So that's the second one on my TBR list.
Yeah.
For the month.
Okay. So you've done 3, right?
I did the random one we were talking about Star Wars, so technically this is my second official one.
Okay, so the other one's not
counting Dark Disciple as official.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. I was thinking I was off one because you had done 3, and I'm like, wait a minute, I need to do 2 now. But no, we're good.
It's right there on the shelf, so I just reached over and grabbed it real quick, so it was like a freebie.
Okay, so it's an unofficial one. Okay. I'm putting book 2 on the Crescent City series on my possible.
Yeah. I thought about doing book 1, but I was like, I want to do it with the dramatized audiobooks, and I'm just not in the mood for that right now. I want to read whenever I want, and you have to be like alone for that. But that's a beautiful. That cover has attracted me for so long. Like, I didn't know it was a book 2, so I was dying to grab that book before I even knew who Sarah J. Maas was. Like, that's how long I've been seeing that cover.
Yeah.
It looks good.
So it's still about the main characters, and that's all I'm saying, because I can't go into more detail than that.
That is extremely big.
It's continuing their story from where we left off.
Was there like a cliffhanger? So were you like loose ends were tied up? Was there a cliffhanger?
Not really. There's like that looming sense of like something more is going to happen. That looming sense, but there's no there's no cliffhanger. Like, it was a satisfying ending, but there's like that kind of background sense of like, oh, there's something, this is too good to be true. It's, it's not going to stay this way. That kind of feel for it. So
yeah. All right, well, my 3rd official one is The Half King. As you can see, I'm kind of getting a vibe where I want darker, grittier, romantic-y kind of stuff. I need serious. And I forgot how gorgeous this book was. Like, and if you look at the art, and like, I reread the blurb, and I'm like, why have I not read this sooner? It's got the premise of everything that I want. I think part of me had my hopes high for like, what's it called? Sword Heart, and the comedy really kind of like jolted me because I was not expecting that at all. And so now I kind of am looking for a book that has a girl and guy character with like a premise and a romance and a fantasy world that I can really just sink my teeth into.
Yeah.
No pun intended. So I think this is definitely one that I am looking forward to. So that's my
Yeah.
it kind of seems like it's going to be like the king has he's like disappearing, and so he's gonna disappear on his 21st birthday, and there it's like he's got haunted eyes, so it kind of like a king with a secret, and she's there, and it's I don't know if it's gonna be Beauty and the Beast vibes or not, but like
Gotcha.
I
Yeah.
mean it's a total vibe. So
Yeah.
okay, my stack is getting a little like I'm gonna lose everything here in a minute.
That's funny.
All right, so your third one,
Okay. Yeah.
or do you have? I didn't
one.
know how many you had.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Air by Seba Tar? Maybe?
Tier? I don't know.
Tier?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Tar? I'm sorry if I said it wrong. It's about these, it's like follows 3 different characters. So, Eyes, I did look that one up. AIZ. Eyes. Supposedly. Saoirse and Quill. So Eyes is is like an orphan that lives in the slums. No. Okay, she's an ex-prisoner, I think. Yeah, so she was put into prison, and then she's came out, and then you have Saoirse. No, Saoirse's the okay. Eyes is the orphan. You have Saoirse, which is a criminal type thing that's hunting down somebody, and then you have Quill, who's a crown prince, and it talks about how like the author is like writing these 3 people's stories together, and it's kind of like she does a really good job. Supposedly, like the blurb talks about how it's like what weaving their 3 stories together. So, yeah, I think it's
interesting.
That
I remember that one was one we had looked up or something for some reason. I can't remember why.
So I'm definitely interested in it. It's like a bigger, more epic fantasy style thing. The map is really pretty.
Wow.
But yeah, I'm kind of like it makes me think multiple POVs, which I think will be nice too.
Yeah.
And I'm getting
Cool.
I'm getting the weird craving to reread ACOTAR, but I've lent out books 1 and 2, and so I need to text message my coworker. I'll be like, hey, is it possible for me to get these back now?
Yeah. So my next one is The Stars Are Dying, by
I almost
Chloe
grabbed that one.
So it's like really pretty. I remember at the bookstore when I was debating whether to get it or not, I read the first page. Was it the prologue or chapter 1? Anyways, I read bits of it, and the main guy character immediately intrigued me and stuff, and I like wanted to know more. Also, that gold foil is like really cool, but it kind of intrigued me and stuff. So the blurb doesn't really catch my interest, but when I started reading it, I was like, ooh, okay. And plus, we have art, so I mean, what's not to love? And I keep seeing book 2 to this sitting on the shelf, and I'm like, I really need to read book 1. And so I probably won't get to this one this month, but I wanted to add it to my list because I've been DNFing and like book hopping a lot, so I need freedom.
That's fair.
And I kind of need to I want to find some like I don't want to have to like love a book, finish a book, and then have to book hop again to find another one. I really want to like be able to go from one book to another and just enjoy everything that I'm reading again. So because I'm feeling more like my old self, and I don't want to go back to like struggling to find things to read. So so that's my 4th one, I think. So I've got one more after that.
So the other one, this one's been on my shelf for a little bit as well. It's The Courting of Bristol Keats. So
I've heard of that from somewhere.
Essentially, Bristol Keats and her sisters, they live in this quiet town, and so when Bristol receives letters from an aunt she's never heard of, who promises that she can help, she reluctantly agrees. They lost their parents. I forgot to mention that part. And so apparently her father might still be alive, but he's not, hasn't been killed, but kidnapped by these creatures. So it's kind of like, makes me think of like human world and then fantasy. Like
So
human
fantasy
kind of has like that Akatari, like human then fantasy type vibe. But I
fantasy world, or is it like Earth? You know?
let me see if there's like a map. Okay. The Kingdom of Elphame, Elphame.
Okay, so it's like a fantasy world.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
At first it sounded like Earth, so I was confused.
it might. I don't know. It might be one of those things like where, like you could travel to. It might be like cursed, like a Cruel Prince kind of vibe, where it's Earth and then fantasy realm.
Or like,
maybe I don't know. It doesn't specifically say Earth. It just says that the parents have died.
I like the sprite edges
and
on
they
that.
got me too. And they've got a letter. She gets a letter from an aunt that she's never met. And there's like a fae leader. Yeah, it sounds interesting. So it gives me more like, it gives me like Akatari vibes, but like more Beauty and the Beast-ish because the dad's been taken.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
That could be interesting.
Yeah. So it's kind of it's definitely interesting, and I loved the cover. Like I just love this concept of like window. This I don't know. It gives me Alice in Wonderland vibes, cover. Like and the locks and stuff. It gives me definitely like fairy Alice in Wonderland ish. Sorry, can I hit my...
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
So it's definitely interesting.
So my last one is Firebird, which we both coincidentally bought at the same, like we did the same book haul.
Yeah.
And again, it's like Ancient Rome but with dragons, and it seems like it could be serious. I mean, Ancient Rome always has that grit to it, and then you've got a romance with a guy who is a Roman general but also a dragon, I think, on top of that. Or he has a dragon or something.
Yeah.
And it's gorgeous. So I feel like if I could get around to it, this could be another interesting one.
Yeah.
More than likely, if I enjoy From Blood and Ash, I may go either into The Half King or Slaying the Vampire Conqueror, because I'm probably, if I enjoy it, I'm gonna be withdrawing. If I don't enjoy it, I'm gonna be needing something good.
There's like 6 books in the From Blood and Ash series.
Yeah, so I may, do that or whatever.
Yeah.
I also really want to do Assassin's Blade, so like these are kind of like my focus, and the other ones are kind of like bonus.
Yeah.
Ones. These 2 are like the bonus books, so that's my last one. Did you have one more?
Yeah, it was just Sword Heart, which you already talked about. So.
Okay. Yeah. So hold on, I forgot to look this up real quick, but I had something that I wanted to bring up as a topic. That leads into something that's like actual, bookish related. So obviously, I don't know if we've mentioned this before, but for your birthday, we went and saw Revenge of the Sith's re-release in theaters. We didn't get to before because we were young. I think we did a vlog actually there, which was fun.
Yeah.
But I've had my worst like Revenge of the Sith withdrawal in a long time. Like, and there's nothing else that really satisfies that because it is what it is. But I've been hearing how it's actually doing like so good on the re-release. It's like the second best re-release
ever. Yeah, I saw
behind
that.
Lion King.
Yeah,
Lion King and Star Wars Episode 4 actually have done the better, and it's earned like 25 million. And also like the fact, I don't know how if it's outperforming the newer movies that are coming out recently. So I just have to shout out Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
So Star Wars Theory, supposedly, and I really hope he does this, But he's having some drama with the Andor fan, like the people who are fans of Andor right now, and I won't get into that. But he's shifting over where supposedly he's going to go through the Revenge of the Sith novelization by Matthew Stover, and he's going to go through it and compare it to the movie, but he's going to do like scene by scene all the differences and all the things. And back when I was in my reading slump, that was my favorite book of all time.
Yeah.
And I actually read it a part of this, which was the whole prequel trilogy novelization, so it's the third one. So I don't have the actual cover of it, but I wanted to talk about that because, like, if he does, I'm going to be binging that and stuff because it was one of my favorites. And in the book, it added in this whole side plot line with Padme and how politically she was actually with Mon Mothma and a lot of those senators going against Palpatine, and she was like there was a lot of politics going on, and there was several times where her and Anakin were like fighting, like disagreeing, and like it was like scary because they were on opposite sides of this political war. Yeah. And it added a lot to like what was going on, and he's going to go over like all of the differences, so it'll be fun to like revisit that. I also have the audiobook to it. So it's one of those things that like that'll be fun to kind of like revisit it, and I'm in a Star Wars mood, so it's like it's kind of fun. So I really, really hope Star Wars Theory does that. He's the biggest Star Wars YouTuber, for those of you who don't know.
Speaking of Star Wars novels, there was announcement for a Darth Vader themed book that isn't released yet.
I am so anticipating it. Is it out yet?
No, it won't be out until November, maybe.
It's gonna be expected November TBR,
November 11th. It's called Star Wars Master of Evil, and the faces, like the picture, it has like a distorted Darth Vader mask, and it looks really cool. It's by Adam Christopher. And let's see, some of the books that he's written are Shadow of the Sith, which is a book that looks like it's about like older Luke and maybe Lando. Yeah, Luke Skywalker and Lando. Between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. So it's one of those novels that tried to like bridge the gap and kind of explain what happened, you know, trying to fix the problems. And he's written several books, and so that's one of the main one of the other Star Wars books that looks like he's written. But essentially it says, after Revenge of the Sith, a newly forged Darth Vader hunts for the secrets of life and death under the watchful eye of Emperor Palpatine. It says, in the wake...
It's gonna be so good.
Yeah, it sounds so good. It says, in the wake of Emperor Palpatine's rise to power, the true nature of his most sinister enforcer remains a mystery. Darth Vader is a dominant, yet elusive figure, a shadow cast by the malignant Imperial regime. Unknowable to even its top officials. But even as his humanity gives way to myth, Vader remains haunted by the promises of the dark side, seeking the ultimate power that his master has hinted at but withheld. The power to conquer death itself. So it's like, sounds like such an angsty book.
Human Vader ever is. Gosh. You know, and it's going to be so much fun to see the human side of Vader.
It's giving me the Vader Immortal games, episodes 1, 2, and 3 on the VR. You haven't played through all 3 yet, so you haven't got to the angstiest part in that story yet. I need to have you need to have like a sleepover again sometime this summer, so that way you can play those episodes. Like we can stay up late and you can finish those. Night. Because oh my gosh, it gets so angsty, and it plays into that concept of like trying to bring Padme back, and it just and that's what this book reminds me of. It's like literally that's what they're hinting at. Like the whole reason why Vader wanted to conquer death was to save Padme, to bring her back. And it's like,
I know, and like we need more. Like, we need to see that.
Yes.
Like,
oh my gosh. Yes. It looks so
books this year.
Good.
I'm so excited about it.
It looks so good. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so so did you have any articles that you wanted to start with, or was that the first one that you wanted to bring up?
That was the first. That was a side thing, but you can share something now too. We can go back to me in a minute.
It's okay. So I guess, well, we'll start with the more exciting one because we're kind of excited about Star Wars. So the Hunger Games Sunrise on the Reaping cast have like
Ooh,
they casted
they've done
Joseph
so
Zada
good.
as Haymitch and Whitney Peak as Lenore Dove.
I'm so happy
So,
with
and
their
looking at
acting
their pictures,
choices. She's such a
I'm
good. They are
happy.
literally putting the the people that were casting the Harry Potter stuff. They're putting like literally the controversy with that. They are putting all of these companies like Disney and their casting, all of these other companies. They're putting them to shame. Oh my
Yes,
gosh, they're
because like the thing is, her character is
oh
like
my
that, so it like makes
gosh,
sense, and it's like
yes.
you can be diverse and
Yes,
true to your
and what's
characters
cool
from the
is
book.
that like the book doesn't really talk about okay, this is something that I've thought about a lot, and I thought about making a reel about it, like a shorts about it. But it's like when I
Yeah.
read, unless the book focuses and makes skin color and race a main focal point of the book, I don't even realize people are like different races until I go back and actually try to find it and look for it. Like I don't focus on
Hmm.
that stuff. Like there was like the whole controversy with Professor Snape, I had to go back and look and be like, well, what did it say about his complexion? Like, cause like it's like
Yeah.
I don't one. I had the movie in my head, anyway. But it's like when I like Hunger Games, for example. Like there are certain times like I remember Katniss's braid. Like I remember her braid. I don't remember what it specifically says about her skin color because that's not what my brain focuses on. My brain focuses on what they're going through, the setting of the story, the plot twists, the surprises, like the angst. That's what my brain focuses on. So it's like I had to go back and look at it and I'm like, well, it doesn't really specify, so I'm like, you know what? It looks so cool. And they did perfect for like all of the casting so far. And people are angry because they haven't released more yet. Because they did like
Oh
two
my
at a
gosh,
time, and people were thinking, oh, they're releasing them like tributes, blah, 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 blah. And then they just
that's funny.
ghosted everybody, and they're not releasing anymore. And people are angry because they want more casting, and they haven't gotten any yet. Oh
Oh,
my
guys, I'm
gosh.
telling you, like, I am so happy. Like, looking at the pictures, I am so happy. And, like, ultimately, it'll come down to the acting,
Uh
like
huh.
it always
Oh,
does.
yeah.
But,
Oh, yeah.
like, it looks good. And I literally need this now. Like, it's like the Vader novel. I just need it now. Like, this is what I am so excited for.
And
So,
I did see as well that um that the budget for the film was supposedly 150 million to 200 million. So it's like a big budget for the movie, which could be good or it could be bad. So I'm like it's like
right.
on the like anywhere between like 150 million to like 200 million. So I'm like okay. But considering everything that happens in that book, the fact that they're spending a lot of money is kind of reassuring that they're going to
Yeah, I was
actually
like, they're
like
going to need it for,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
hopefully, they'll use it in the right ways. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
hopefully.
Like,
Hopefully.
but, all right,
Yeah.
so what you got for me?
Okay, so there's been ACOTAR is back on the radar. Apparently, the 10th anniversary of Book 1, A Court of Thorn and Roses, is on May 5th. It's the 10th anniversary. And so there hasn't been any official kind of reminders or things. There is some, like, talk of, like, the fact, like, talk about different things. We know that Sarah's been writing the next ACOTAR book, and she made a post on Instagram earlier on. She said, went up north to write for a while. And it was like, and in her hashtag, she put ACO what? And it was ACO and then what with like several T's. And so we know that she's been writing it. But the thing that's been like, and the fact that the 10th anniversary is coming up, that's kind of been like, okay, what's going to be announced for the 10th anniversary. But the thing
Yeah.
is, Bloomsbury Publishing has been making several posts that are ACOTAR related, and somebody like there was another author lady or like somebody that worked in book publishing on TikTok. I don't know their credentials. I don't know if they were telling the truth or not. Who knows? But they made the comment that like typically when publishing companies are hyping or bringing things back onto the radar, it almost feels like they're bringing ACOTAR back into the main focus to try to get people
Yeah.
to be like, hey, remember this series? Like, you know, to like pushing it up.
Oh,
And
yeah,
so
that's a marketing thing. Yeah.
they said on April 28th, Bloomsbury UK revealed that there was an elaborate night court balcony display in Waterstone, Liverpool. So there's like a night court display on there. They also, Bloomsbury was also running an ultimate ACOTAR moments bracket thing, so you could list like your favorite ACOTAR. It was like going over the ultimate ACOTAR moments. Um, and then it kind of talks about like different release dates and like comparing the past release dates and the question of whether it was delayed, and looking at like the dates from the previous books and different things. So
Right.
yeah, and it says, has SJM explained why the next book is taking so long? And she said, and it says yes. Mass told today that she's been publishing at a slower pace going forward because she's now balancing her career and raising her two young children. So it's like, it's one of those things. There was question of whether it was delayed, and it's like she's just taking longer, which is valid, like very valid. Like especially if like you're a new parent, like I could see how that would like trying that new challenge of trying to juggle personal, like on top of already having a personal life, but now having like almost like a personal job, because being a mother is a huge job. And it's like, even though I'm not one, I can see that all my mom's had to do over the years for me, and all she's had to do for me over the years. So it's like being a mom is a job on its own. And so it's like I could see that. And she said, before I had two kids, I was writing 2 books a year, but I also had no social life. She says, I was basically Gollum in my little writing cave, just writing all day. But now I get to see the sunlight thanks to my children needing to like go out to school. So the writing pace has slowed down a little bit. You know, a book a year, a book every year and a half. It's a tough thing to have a job and to need to show up and focus on that job, and then to also be able to focus on your children. And so that was kind of her comment. And then there's like talk about like what's the difference, like ACOTAR 5 versus ACOTAR 6, and I guess it kind of developed into an ACOTAR 6 because people were kind of making Frost and Starlight was counting that as like its own book type thing, if that makes sense. ACOTAR 5, 6, the next one in the series after Silver Flames.
Yeah, that's the one we're waiting on.
That's the one we're waiting on. So yeah, and it says,
so
what's the
time? Like, I know a lot of I know a couple authors who are mothers who've had to put things on hold for their kids, and like one of them, I like watching her videos, and she went from like, I think it was like she would try to write and publish a book in a year, and now it's stretched to like 18 months. Like, I can't remember the exact time, but it's like the time getting. And then like with me, like I've had to delay Survivor for a year. I was supposed to be releasing Survivor fall of last year, like that at the back of Immortal. My announcement page for Survivor says fall 2024, and I'm like, but you know, Immortal was delayed, and that pushed Survivor, and then Survivor was
life happens,
and that's what we're not even kids. So it's like. You know, and like for them, like your kids come first, so I totally understand that. And like squeezing and writing, I can't imagine trying to like. I struggle to write as a dog mom. Like if I have little batch with me, it's like I can't imagine after.
Yeah, well, and as a teacher, like that thought's crossed my mind too. Is like eventually, if I have kids, it's like I get irritable by the end of the day, just because being an introvert, my social battery is like gone by the end of the day. And it's like the thought happens like, what's going to happen when I have kids one day? Like and that's where it's like, I don't know. That's where it's like, am I ready for that? Because like, it's like, I don't like, it's one of those things like, I don't feel like emotionally I am mature enough to like be able to still to act and put on a face of like, you know, I don't know. It's just, it brings up a lot of thoughts. And like that whole topic is just such a deep conversation, especially like with writers and like people that have jobs out, like, you know, careers. I like using the word career. I like careers better than jobs, because I feel like people have like a stereotype on what a job looks like. Like when you have a full-time career and on top of starting a family, I feel like that is such like a day by day, you know, like it's just a day by day winging it and just, you know, so it's just really an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Sorry, my phone decided to be stupid. Oh my gosh. Okay.
No,
Am I still on?
Yep, you're good. Am I okay? I can still see you. I can still see you. You're good.
Okay, so I found an article about Greta Gerwig's Narnia. So the White Witch is going to be played by Emma Mackey, who previously worked with her in the Barbie movie, I guess. And um she has her work cut out for her when Tilda Swinton's previous performance as the White Witch in the 2005 adaptation is a perfect movie fantasy villain performance.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I would agree
and
that.
Gret Gerwig, like, she has many challenges to the current status in cultural. I don't know what that word is. I'm a writer and that's a shame. But anyways, she has a challenge when it comes to the current status in like culturally because the old movies do have a lot of heart and evoke fondness among longtime fans.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the infamous White Witch, her casting could make things more difficult or provide something fresh. She's younger than the Disney movie actor. Um, and
Hmm.
so it's one of those things that brings up an interesting topic, like the Harry Potter one. It's like when you have a adaptation of a book, like the adaptations are always
Yeah.
nefariously known for not being good. But when you have one that is good, that is beloved by fans like Narnia and Harry Potter,
Hmm.
why would you want to remake it again? You don't need to perfect
The
something that already is good.
the
You know what I'm saying?
the issue, the main issue, the thing that makes Narnia such a confusing and weird situation is because you have like the animated stuff from like the 60s and 70s that's completed. Like they have all the
Hmm.
books as like little animated movie type things, and it's like not the best. Being completely honest, it's pretty bad. But
Right.
like you have the first three, you have Lion the Witch and the Wardrobe, Prince Caspian, and Voyage of the Dawn Treader that were movies, but none of the other books were made into movies. It wasn't like the Harry Potter series where they started with book one and went all the way through. They started with Lion the Witch and the Wardrobe,
Right.
which is not book one, and they made the three that were focused mainly on the Pevensey. They didn't like there are other books that are focused on the Pevensies that they didn't even touch. But it's like
Right.
I don't know. I have my own irritations with Voyage of the Dawn Treader. That was the one that I liked the least. I felt like they got worse as it
I don't
went
think I've ever seen
along,
it.
and it's like
Yeah.
there's a different animation for Aslan, and he looks animated, and you can tell
Yeah.
he's animated. Whereas in the
When he
first
was
one,
good in the
in the
first one.
first one, you still get that it's like it's animated because he's literally talking, but he looks like in every other sense he doesn't look as realistic as the new Lion King does, but he looks realistic enough that it feels like a lion. But there's something about like the way he turns, the way he moves in Voyage of the Dawn Treader that I'm just no.
Yeah. Which for me, it's like, it's weird anyway because it's
Yeah.
kind of more of a Christian fantasy,
It
an
is a Christian
allegorical
fantasy,
Christian
yeah,
fantasy.
because
It
he was a
is.
theologian,
And to
yeah.
put that in the hands of somebody who is not a Christian and also is like a feminist and like has all these other belief systems,
Yeah.
I like in general, if you just look at like giving a movie franchise that is under a certain worldview, giving that to a director or a writer who does not share that worldview is
Yeah.
kind of a weird choice, even if you
Yeah.
plug something different besides Christianity
It's
into it.
okay. It's one
And
of
it's kind
those.
of like doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Honestly, I feel like honest. I can't let myself. I just can't let myself get excited about it. If it turns out,
Yeah.
if it turns out that they actually stay true to the books and they include those biblical bits and they don't try to undermine it with different actors and actresses or whatever, or try to input other things into it, as if they don't do any of that and they stay true to it, I would be happy. I'd be excited about it. Once I saw it and once I could see
Yeah.
that they were staying true to it, I would be excited. But I will not let myself get excited for it, because the more I think about it,
Yeah,
the more
same.
sad I get, because that literally any research that you do on C.S. Lewis, he is a Christian theologian. Him and J.R.R. Tolkien both were. And they would sit in a pub together and debate their books and talk about it. The
To
Chronicles
be
of
a fly on the
Narnia.
wall for some of
Okay,
those conversations.
okay,
Like I
and
just
that's where
you
it's
know what I
like,
mean?
and that's where it's like, people can have different opinions on things. I can have opinions on things. You can. Our viewers, our like subscribers, readers, people are all allowed to have their own opinions about stuff. It's called free will. You're allowed to think your own way. That's what that is. But
Hmm.
the Chronicles of Narnia, whether you people like it or not, that is a Christian faith inspired series, and it follows biblical parallels. that make up the backbone of that whole story of who Aslan is, why he keeps reappearing. The last battle is literally the book of Revelations. That's literally its parallel of what it's my favorite book out of all of them. I haven't read all of them, but I know it's my favorite because it just is. It's such a cool book, and I need to actually go through. I have all of them in a book, and it's a paperback, and it's tattered.
I have the same, Michael. But somewhere we've had the same book.
I need to actually go back and read them. And go back and read them.
Yeah.
And now that I'm an adult and that I have actual reading stamina, I need to actually go back and truly read them because my dad has. But it's like part of me wants her to make a statement on the fact that it's a Christian series, and I want her to make a statement addressing that whole issue so I know whether to be I want her to make a statement about it so that way I can get excited for it or not, and I know what I need to be doing. Because
like what you need, how
you know
you
what
need
I'm
to
saying?
feel about
I need to know. I need to know. I need to establish how I feel about it. And the only way I'm going to be able to do that is for the director to make a statement about whether she plans to stay true to the book and the book's foundations or not. I need to know that.
Same.
I'm not going to trash talk her. I'm not going to like say she's a horrible person. I just need to know whether I need to watch the series or not.
Another thought that I had about how the rumors of Aslan being casted as a female, it reminds me of the Cats movie that was based on the musical, with the main cat character, Deuteronomy. In the original musical is an older male cat character, essentially, and the movie made it an older woman. And when Michael and I were watching the movie, it was very weird and it was very awkward, and it was like to gender swap an older character that kind of had an established character based on the fact that he was an old male cat who had a lot of other kittens throughout the years, and they all looked up to him, and like old Deuteronomy, one of my favorite songs in the whole musical. It was very a weird choice, and it kind of like made the movie like kind of awkward. Like there was a lot of other awkward things too, but like so it's like when you gender swap or change up a character that's supposed to be a major kind of older mentor kind of character role anyway, you're gonna make it weird. And it's like if it's a side character, it's still wrong, but like for a character with a major role like Aslan and Deuteronomy and that kind of stuff, it'd be like Gandalf as a female wizard or something. Like it's like bizarre.
See, like in my head, the only time that it makes sense to gender swap characters is if that is the main goal of that book or that story or that movie, is to take a story and completely gender swap everything. I have one where it's like Aslan, it's not Aslan, it's like a gender swapped Aladdin. It's like on the bottom, it's like on that shelf. One of my old TBR books that I still haven't read. But that's the whole point. It's like Aladdin but gender swapped. And it's like Life and Death. Like, the Twilight book, Life and Death, is literally Twilight but gender swapped. So if that's something, if you're wanting to gender swap characters, you need to do all characters, not just one.
Yeah.
Be consistent. If you're wanting to gender swap things, and gender swap everything, and make it a whole thing. Yep. But you can't just do one character. And I don't know. Now, if Aslan's character is still a guy and she is playing with a male voice and can do it well, I would be okay with that. But the character Aslan needs to be established as a male lion. Not a lioness, a male lion with a mane. Because that is how the book tells it. He is a lion. Yeah. Not a lioness. He's a lion. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I agree with you. Yeah. And that's why, and again, I don't know whether to be excited about it or not.
I didn't even think about the fact that like a lioness would look vastly different from a lion too. So you have that aspect too, that like, okay, that's going to even be weirder, you know?
Yeah. And the fact that Aslan is the parallel, his character parallels the life of Jesus.
Yep.
That's the reality of it. Jesus was a real person, Jesus of Nazareth. Now, whether you believe in his deity or not is completely your own choice. but he was a real person.
He
There are secular, non-biblical scholars that acknowledge that he was a real person that existed in history. So,
yeah.
now whether you agree with the other bits, it's completely up to you.
Yeah,
but
that's where the free will comes back into play here.
Yeah. Honestly, free will is not an American created thing. That's a biblical thing too, by the way.
Just force it with guns.
yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
That's America.
Okay.
Anyway, America.
Country girl, born and bred.
Honk screeching in the background.
Yeah. The American flag waving in the background.
Oh my god, we're stereotypical Americans. It's great. Got
really are.
The weird Midwest Southern accent and everything.
Yep, we've
Lord.
got it all. And we love sweet tea.
Yep.
I do.
Cold ice sweet tea. Southern sweet tea. You have to specify Southern sweet tea.
Southern sweet tea, yeah.
That's nothing better.
Oh, nothing better. Okay. Anyways, you got any other articles?
No, that's all I had. ACOTAR was all I had. I'm just winging it tonight, you know.
Yeah, well, we do the best. Okay, so this list I actually wanted to discuss with you because I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on it. Is 10 Hunger Games characters in need of their own prequels after Sunrise on the Reaping.
Okay.
So obviously number 10, the first, I don't know if they're going 10 to 1, so 1 is like the most anticipated, or if 10 is like the best choice backwards. But the first one on the list, number 10, is Finnick Odair is everyone's top choice for a Hunger Games prequel.
Yeah.
So that's obviously we've kind of discussed that before in the debate in the fandom and all that stuff. That's the one I want the most. And then we've also talked about number 9, which is Joanna Mason.
That's one I think it would be intriguing
she led a
to
tragic
get.
life after her Hunger Games.
She makes a comment that she, because when she went to walk into the forest after Katniss, after the mockingbird, the mockingjays, the whichever bird actually spoke and were repeating their loved ones, she goes into the forest and Katniss tries to stop her and she said, "There's nobody left for me to love. They can't hurt me because there's nobody left for me to love." And so that line is what made me intrigued about her story, was that line right there. Because Joanna's a very in the story, she's a very particular taste. And it's like she's not everyone's cup of tea. But that one line intrigued me, and that one line intrigued me enough that I'm like, okay, I wouldn't mind if I had a backstory as to why she acts the way she does. I may not hate her. I may not dislike her as much. I mean, she may not irritate me as much.
I probably couldn't stand her as a narrator, so more than likely I would not be able to read hers if they did hers. But I can understand why people would want them.
Haymitch's narration isn't his Hunger Games narration, though, to be fair. Like, his narration is young, feels like young him. So it's like...
Yeah, it's very different. Yeah. But I can see reasons why you would do all of the other winners and like beloved character. Like I could see
too.
reasons to do each one of them.
Yeah.
Number 8 is Plutarch Heavensbee. Because he worked in the shadows for decades.
Yeah.
So
nobody really knows how to feel about him either, so I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of clarifying a little bit. And that would be another one that would be more behind the scenes kind of stuff, kind of like President Snow's. I'm not even going to try to say the title because I always mess it up somehow. I have literally switched that title out, every single word. Switched out of that at one point or another.
It kind of reminds me, like, there was like this one person that made this connection that it felt like a Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes was felt like it was almost like it kind of fit with Hunger Games, and then Sunrise on the Reaping fit more with Catching Fire because we get a lot of Haymitch stuff in Catching Fire. And somebody made the comment that that the third book could be like, if she made another one, it could be like pairing with Mockingjay in a way, and Plutarch would definitely be connections with that because he's very active in Mockingjay. So, and he's tied with District 13, and so that's what they're thinking of, like, could it be like a District 13 book related book? And so it's like thoughts.
Yep.
So, anyway,
number 7, Annie Cresta deserves to have her story told.
Yes.
So isn't that She's one of the many victors reaped for the third quarter kill during the events of Catching Fire. Annie, is that Finnick? Oh, she fell in love with Finnick O'Dare.
That's his wife. Yep.
Yeah.
Spoiler
so she
alert,
was.
by the way.
I guess she was saved because I was like, she was reaped during that. I didn't remember her being actually reaped.
No, she wasn't. She was reaped, but the older lady, Mags, she took her place.
Mags volunteered for her.
Yeah,
okay,
so she was. It was kind of like a Haymitch and Peta situation. Where she was. Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of think she would be intriguing because of the stuff with her. She seems like that would be nice to have kind of explanations behind things. Mm-hmm. Number 6, it just says the first quarter Kell is still shrouded in mystery.
Ooh,
the second and third ones were kind of monumental, so that could be interesting.
Yeah, I can see that.
Number 5, the Hunger Games fans don't know much about Enor Bea. She's a victor from District 2 who won the 62nd Hunger Games. Known for her sharpened teeth, she joins the other carrier tributes in the third.
I forget her name.
Quarter
her name.
Yes,
that would be interesting. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
I didn't thought about her.
Kashmir and Gloss, maybe more than they seem, was number 4. Who are we talking about here? Oh, Kashmir and Gloss are 2 minor characters who appear in Catching Fire but could prove to be much more. The brother and sister pair hail from District 1, and each won their respective Hunger Games sometime before the events of the first book. Kashmir and Gloss then became President Snowhire's assassins during the third quarter Kell sent to kill Katniss to ensure she doesn't escape the arena, but they're both killed before they can accomplish the mission. Yeah. So I forgot about that. Honestly, but Gloss is actually played by this guy named Alan Richardson in the movie, and he is a really good actor that I've been interested in his show called Reacher. So
okay. Honestly, that would be interesting. I would really like to have a book from a career district where they're trained to be in the Hunger Games, like especially like District 2. I would really love to have a District 2 book. I could see District 1 or 2. I want to see a carrier. Yes, that would be so cool. We've gotten a lot of the poverty of District 12. I want the opposite now. I want to see. We've gotten the capital. We've gotten both extremes. Now I want to see one that is in like the capital's favor, and to get and how it's like the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Like I want to see just it just seems interesting. I can see that. Yeah. Number 3 is BT. He definitely
oh my gosh, I could see that. Because everything with him and his son, and just BT. They're all possible candidates. I think. Yeah, they really are. Mm-hmm. So number 2, actually, I'm reacting to this list live because I didn't see anything. I didn't know who else was going to be on there beyond Joanna and Finnick. I don't know why I forgot his name. Anyway, so number 2 is Effie Trinket.
Ooh, that would be cool.
Her role in Haymitch's game surprised me, and it made me kind of want to know more about her process. And I kind of was like, her and Haymitch may have had time to kind of get kind of close over the years. And I want, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and there was talk of didn't he make comments in his book about Effie kind of being there,
taking care of him?
Yeah, taking care of. I think it would be really interesting to get, to see. I know this sounds kind of morbid, but to see Haymitch kind of falling into that Hunger Games book 1 state, but from somebody else's point of view. I think that'd be interesting. Yeah, I could see that. That'd be interesting. It's probably not on my top. It's probably not my top choice, but I would still definitely be interested in that.
Yeah, and it would be interesting because it would be another behind the scenes one, behind of how the arena works, and we would still get snippets of Haymitch, and we would still get Effie having her actually have a more develop I don't know, I just think that she's kind of an intriguing character. So number 1, apparently President Alma Coin is a perfect counterpart to President Snow.
Coin's story. I've heard that too. Story.
I'm gonna get your would you, that's the number 1 choice on this list.
I feel like she and Snow were essentially felt like the same person. They both felt like somebody that wanted power
Yeah.
and would do whatever they wanted and would use whoever they wanted to have the power. The only reason why District 13 was considered the quote good side is purely because they broke away from the side that everyone saw as the quote bad guy. So
Yeah,
like,
but it's more
but
nuanced
it's
than
like
that.
it's
That's
like
really interesting.
District 13 was not good. They were not good people. They were not. They were so detached from everyone else that they almost felt like robotic. Like, and if like we get to like,
Yeah.
one thing the main scene I'm thinking about is like her prep team. They were essentially like tortured for days because
Hmm.
they tried to save bread, and
Hmm.
this guy, the soldier guy, was just he just felt like, what do you mean? Like that should they stole bread, so they're here, and it's like he didn't see anything wrong with it. It was like almost he had lost his humanity in a way, and it was just like that. That was just one of those moments where like of the many moments that in Mockingjay where I'm just like, I do not like District 13, and the fact that they were like
Yeah.
literally
I
it
got
was
that the first time I
like
read it.
anytime they wanted anything to do with Katniss, it was because they wanted to make a good video. They wanted it to be a good video. They wanted it to be. They were literally marketing her for their rebellion, and that's all they cared for her for. They didn't care about her mental health. Genuinely, they didn't care about her getting reconnected with, you know, they didn't care about her healing at all. They just cared for her getting
Yeah.
well enough to do what they needed her to do. And I could rant
Yeah.
about that for hours. I'm sorry. I will stop.
No, you're fine.
But yeah, I would be interested to get that purely because of, yeah.
How did she become like she is, and like,
It would feel like
yeah,
a
like
good it would feel like a good partner book to
comparison to
Snow's
Snow's
book.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I could definitely see that. I don't know how much I would be intrigued by. It kind of depends on the premise, I think, and
Yeah.
how like,
Yeah.
the general vibe and all
I
that
could see
stuff.
my
So,
unless she really makes it intriguing, I could see myself struggling with that one a little bit. Just
yeah.
because I'm not a huge fan of
Yeah.
Coin. I don't like her character. I don't.
Yeah.
Now as an adult, I really don't. Like I couldn't care
Yeah,
less
like
about
more
her
so
when I
than
was a
as a
kid
teen.
because I wasn't focused on her character per se. But now that I'm an adult and
Yeah, I get
and
that.
I analyzing her character more, I don't like her. But
Yeah, I can get that. I can understand that. I was kind of indifferent, but I remember not liking her. I didn't have this intense hatred of her
I don't
when I
either.
was a
But it
teen because
just
again,
feels
that
weird.
wasn't my
Yeah.
focus, but it's just
Yeah.
like I was just like, okay, I don't really like you, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Um so another one was a like Fourth Wing series kind of like alternative, and I think it's an indie series. Yeah, it's an indie romantasy series. It's similar to Fourth Wing, and they were talking about it's the Bloodwing Academy series, and it deserves more attention. Is kind of like the
Hmm.
article's point. Briar Boland's Bloodwing Academy series isn't exactly like Fourth Wing, but it has several elements that make it a good follow up.
Hmm.
It opens with a heavy focus on vampires. Its central romance takes on the enemies part of the enemies to lovers, and it takes it more seriously than Fourth Wing.
Mm-hmm.
Because they weren't true enemies in Fourth Wing. They didn't stay enemies. He was never really out to like truly get her, so I can
Yeah.
kind of see that. Book one called On Wings of Blood, which for some reason that title is like 100% amazing title. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
why, but that
And it
just
came
that
out.
title
Book
vibes with
one
me.
came out last year, so it feels almost like a rapid release because it was published in
Yeah.
2014. Book one was. Um, book two was released in December. So first two books were released in the same year. So
Oh,
book one was released in November, and book two was released in December.
kind of does feel that way. I'd be interested to see how
Yeah,
good the
yeah,
editing
me
and all that
too.
stuff is. Um, so, and then the book one on Wings of Blood has similarities to the Zodiac Academy with its school setting, though fans of Baz Gaia's trials in Fourth Wing will no doubt enjoy the backdrop as
Hmm.
well. Um, and I've heard of Zodiac Academy, and I've thought about trying it. I'm just trying to get past an aspect in the blurb that really was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, maybe I shouldn't. Um, but I've heard that Zodiac Academy is another big one that
Mm.
people love,
Yeah.
that is kind of like in the same vibe we all like. So it's fast-paced storytelling, heavy romance focus, strong-willed heroine will help readers get over Onyx Storm book hangover. There's a dragon writing storyline, though it doesn't take off much until the end of the book. There's a second book that will deliver on that aspect of Bloodwing Academy, and now is the perfect time to dive in the series as the final installment is within reach. So the final Bloodwing Academy book comes out in June, so there's time to catch up with the series. So The Wings That Bind, I think, is going to be book 3. And it looks like it won't be cliffhanger. It won't be a cliffhanger because it's the third and final book coming out June 14th.
Yeah, I was looking at when I was looking at the series page on Goodreads, I noticed that same author has another series, Briar Boyne. She has another series called Blood of a Fae, and it's like a 4-book series. It's finished. Book 1 is Queen of Roses. Number 2 is Court of Claws. Number 3 is Empire of Fae, and number 4 is Night of the Goddess. Book 1 sounded kind of interesting. Yeah, it was kind of like a doomed love, a dangerous mission, and a kingdom on the brink of war. So that's kind of the tagline at the very beginning. So it sounds interesting. It only has 16,000 ratings, and the one that you mentioned only has like 20,000 ratings. So compared to a lot of the other book series that we're seeing, it's a relatively new series, relatively new author. So it's definitely worth a look at, honestly. I might I might at least read book 1, maybe get like ebook. Maybe that might be an ebooker.
On Wings of Blood. The cover actually looks pretty interesting for the paperback.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually have a hardback, and it has a Kindle. It is in Kindle Unlimited. So I was thinking about getting that anyway for some other books that I wanted instead of buying them. So if I get to Kindle Unlimited, I may just like binge read all these KU reads that I've been interested in.
That's fair.
So yeah, I had a few other ones, but they're not that really relevant, and we're getting closer to time. My husband's actually not working overtime tonight, so he will be coming soon. But there's this monthly subscription box service that's called Caffeine and Legends, which I know we've talked. I don't know if we've talked about the other one, but there was. I would like to do a book box subscription sometime. But so that one, if anybody's interested, Caffeine and Legends. I'm sure you can find it if you were to look it up. If anybody is interested.
I did Book of the Month for a bit, and that was fun.
Yeah, Book of the Month.
The only thing I didn't really like about it is that they only have so many books to choose from. And it was like, if you weren't into any of those genres, you just didn't get a book that month, and you just didn't get one. And so,
yeah, I can understand that kind of like, yeah.
So, but I definitely enjoyed it, especially because you get hardback books at like a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, for like a set price each month, and I'm like, hey, hardbacks.
Yeah.
It works.
Yep. All right, well, let us know how your reads are going and what you've enjoyed reading in April and what you're planning on May. I'm going to do my Fable, like, monthly wrap-up and post on things, so that's going to be kind of fun. I don't remember how many books I read. I hope I read at least 2, because it's really sad when you get the little graphic and there's just one book there.
That's
so, yeah.
All right.
But, and let us know if there's any bookish topics or discussions or controversial things you want us to cover. So we're all for that.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. We'll see you next week at some point.
Hopefully. Yep.
All right. Bye.
Bye.